welcome back number 25, Kevin Stevens.
We're all gonna have choices in life. 28 years old, never did a drug in my life. Someone handed me something. So one 30-second decision I made changed the past of my life. For the next 24 years, my life went like this.
We're on TV now, so it's kind of
scary.
You know, our radio and our podcast can see on TV, which is kind of new to us. So
Painfully. Like I sat with you guys for a long time, guys, and sat there and say it's never gonna be me, you know? Now I'm sitting here talking to you guys because it was me.
I know how those people feel because I've been in those situations where I've been stuck, and when you're in it, you can't see it. It's very hard, it's a very difficult thing, addiction and substance abuse, and people need help, and we have to get out there and kind of educate people and try to do the best we can to help them. Welcome to Crosscheck. I am Kevin Stevens, and got another big show planned today. We got a couple of people that deal with this thing on the front lines. You know, it's great to have these people come in and tell their story and how they work with these people after the fact of the overdose. And my buddy Ted Wayman, he's a guy in the front lines too. You know, he's
like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, he's a real man. Ted's a real man. So take it away, Andy.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, we do have a great show today, as always, and joining us will be Sargent Bill Patterson from the East Bridgewater Police Department, and Anne Marie Winchester, who is from Plymouth County Outreach, will joining us. But of course, we have to meet the other member of our panel. We're a little shorthanded today. Alyssa Horton, and Sarah Mosen. I mean, we've had a rotating cast. Yeah. So, how are you?
I'm not Alyssa.
Oh, I know. Well, so remember Jerry Glanville? Yeah. He was a coach. He always used to leave tickets for Elvis at every game, knowing that Elvis wasn't coming. So this is a chair here.
Elvis is alive. He works at a Burger King.
Where? In Abington?
Yeah.
All right. You're the founder of the Abington Substance Awareness Coalition as well.
I am.
Okay. All right. So before we get started with our guests, of course, we have to address a news topic that we just saw, and it was the BU School of Medicine put out a press release yesterday talking about buprenorphine, and it was a randomized trial that patients at a short-term inpatient program began long-term outpatient treatment with buprenorphine before discharge had a better outcome than detox patients. They're saying that 3 of 4 people who complete an inpatient opioid withdrawal management program, commonly known as detox, relapse within a month, leading to a revolving door effect. Few successfully transition from the inpatient setting to long-term treatment with proven medications such as buprenorphine, methadone, or naltrexone to prevent overdose. But they're saying that patients who start long-term buprenorphine treatment at a detox program, instead of going through detox and getting a referral for such treatment at discharge, are less likely to use opioids illicitly over the following 6 months. So, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it totally makes sense. You know, because anybody that goes into detox, you know, you're going in there 3 to 6 days probably, and you know, you're getting out. You're going in for kind of like they call it a dry spin. You go in, and you come out, and you have no recovery. You know, there's nothing. There's nothing these people are doing. Some people will try to stay sober, but some people will just go in because they ran out of money. You know, they don't have any money, so they go into detox. They're going to be sick, so they go in there, and people get them better, feeling better. Then they come out, and they figure a way to do it again, and they do it again. So I think anything they can do, you know, in there to kind of get you started on recovery, it's important because in a detox, there really isn't much recovery talk. You know, I've been in a detox, and you know, you're there and you don't feel good. You know, they're trying to, you know, get you off these opiates or whatever you're taking through medicine, and they help you that way. But I think it's really important if they could get you started on something, you know, like a blocker like that right. Stuff. You know, that's important because, you know, the more time you can get clean, the better chance you have. And a lot of time in these detoxes, it's just in and out, and you're back out in the street again.
So what they're saying is, in a randomized trial, 59 patients of the Stanley Street Treatment Center and Resources Program in Fall River went through the program, and then and then tapering them off. And then they said another 56 patients received the typical first-day buprenorphine treatment, and they were discharged, and they were able to take their daily dosage, and they found that the participants who took it for up to 6 months after discharge were less likely to use. So, to your point.
So I'm not that familiar with this, but is this, can they wean them off it after the 6 months, or are they going to the methadone, the same as going to the methadone clinic over and over and over again? But my feeling is, and we've said this on the show before, whatever works.
Right.
Whatever works. And like Kevin said, we have too many people that just get into detox and then there's no aftercare for them.
Right.
And it's a recipe for failure.
Right.
So any program like this is great. Definitely in favor of it. I'd just like to know more about how the long-term treatment of it works.
It's clinical.
Yeah, I think it is clinical. And some people, like you said, it's just trying to save lives. And I think the most important thing is that it's, you can use it, as long as you want to use it. I think it's something that you can get off when, they'll tape you off when you think you can taper off. But a lot of these addicts can't really taper off a lot of stuff. They taper off that, and then they go to methadone. Methadone and Suboxone, it saves lives. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's different. But anything that helps save lives is the most important thing, right?
Right.
And that's the hardest thing, because it's, everybody's going to have different opinions on all this stuff. But whatever we can do to save lives, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The Dr. Michael Stein from BU said the idea of detox, getting inpatient treatment for a few days and expecting to quit opioids has always been magical thinking.
It's not going to work.
No, he said we've quantified here for the first time how successful we can be if we use short-term inpatient programs as starting grounds for long-term treatment. So that's really what we're talking about here. So it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's
Great idea.
And I've known many people like on detox that know they're not going to stay sober. You can't stay sober. You can't do it. It's impossible. Your drug's still in your brain, and you leave. When you leave detox, you're not feeling great. 6 days, you've been using drugs and you've been using opiates for 10 years. You go into detox for 6 days, you think you come out doing jumping jacks after 6 days? You feel lousy.
Right.
No,
and for addicts that feel
they
lousy,
feel better.
their biggest thing, what they do is they go feel better and they get the opiates again and think they can do them 1 or 2 days, and then they get stuck on them, and that cycle starts again. So it's important. You need something. You can't just come out of detox and go back to where you're at.
Before we go to a break, you mentioned dry spin. What exactly is that? Can you explain?
It's just going in there, and then, like I said, when you're on the street and you have nowhere to go and you have no money, and you need a place to get warm and have people take care of you, and some of these people just pop in and out. Like there's people that have been to detox 50, 60 times.
Wow.
So it's not like it's a system that's it helps if you want to get help, but it also it can hurt you too. It's just just going in. You're not going to stay clean and sober. So
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and I think
Need a
this is
place to go.
important. Yeah, if they have some type of care in there and they get you started on something, that's the most important thing.
So that's the recipe.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on Crosscheck.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boston, for Boston, we sing out round the fred. For Boston, till wisdom's earth be fed. For here our water hearts are true, and the towers on the heights wish the heavens are blue. For Boston, till the echoes ring again. For Boston, till the echoes ring again.
Welcome back to Crosscheck. I'm Andy Bernstein here with two-time Stanley Cup champion and the pride of Pembroke, Massachusetts, the great Kevin Stevens. How about that?
Pretty good.
You like that?
Not bad. Coming from, you.
You.
Whatever that is.
You, right? With parts unknown.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
from out from under a rock.
Yeah.
And joining us now is our special guests, Sargent Bill Patterson from the East Bridgewater Police Department and Plymouth County Outreach, and Anne Marie Winchester, who is also from Plymouth County Outreach, and she is a recovery coach with the organization, one of many
One of many.
Kev?
Yeah, it's we dealt we met with you guys before. Like I've seen you around and we talked before. But let's talk about what you guys are doing and what's the biggest thing out there right now with the opiates and what you guys are trying to get out there.
We're trying to get out there that when there's an overdose situation, we treat it as a medical emergency. And what would you do if someone was having a heart attack, a stroke, or a crash? Is you call 911, you get services coming, and if you're capable and treat them. Try to treat them and sustain them until someone with a higher level of training gets there to give them a hand.
You know what, Bill, is kind of as an addict, right? As an addict before, and I was like, I prayed that no one would overdose when I'm there. But the panic for the other people when it happens, like, they say the addict's not, you're with a couple of friends, and everybody's afraid sometimes to make that call to the cops because, what's going to happen? Where's the kid going to go? What's going to happen to us, And I think that's, that's a myth, right?
It is. What's going to happen is hopefully they're kept stable till we get there, and they're going to be transported to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be offered services at the hospital. And if for some reason they choose not to take them then, well, we're going to follow up.
Yeah.
And there's 28 police departments, that includes Bridgewater State University, in Plymouth County, and now it's expanding to other counties that actually have outreach offices that pair up with a recovery coach, Anne Marie, and a host of others, and we go out between 12 and 72 hours after an overdose situation, and we offer services to the person that overdosed, but also to their family and friends, the contact people that we have on file.
Yeah, so Anne Marie, so you guys would go out, you get the call. Is that what happened? You find, the cops?
Yes, what happens typically is if somebody doesn't take services directly from the hospital, that's when the outreach team is notified that there's a follow-up to do. We contact the police department that where the person resides, and we set up an appointment, and we go with a whole host of resources and show up at the person's home and offer them services.
So you go out with a policeman comes with you? Is that how you do it?
Yes, we do go out with a plainclothes police officer right to the person's home, and hopefully we connect with them and are able to sit and speak with them for a little while. If we connect with the family, that's fine as well. Because the model for Plymouth County Outreach is a little bit different, where we not only offer services for the person who has substance use disorder, but we also offer services for the family. So we have the options to do that, and if we need to pull in other people to help us with those services, we have the resources to do so.
Yeah. So Bill, the biggest thing, like we like all of us, I guess, is the Narcan, right? That's the number one thing that's saving a lot of lives out there, and that's the number one thing that people need to know a little bit about, right?
They do. You need to know the signs of an overdose. If you have somebody that won't wake up, you rub their chest with the knuckles, a sternum rub, and there's no response. Clammy, cool skin, blue lips, fingertips. Sometimes they're it's agonal breathing. They're snorting or like coughing, or gurgling, slow pulse. It's time. This is a crisis situation. It's time to act, and minutes count. Actually, seconds count. So yes, Narcan is important. We want to get that administered, but we also need to look at their vital signs, if you would. So if they're not breathing, if they don't have a pulse, you have to treat that as well. Yeah. So we encourage people, yes, have Narcan, know how to use it, have it readily available, but also we encourage anyone to get CPR trained. And that's overdose situation or any other critical medical situation. The more people that are CPR trained, the better off this world is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's important because CPR, all these things, happen. And we were talking earlier, Anne Marie, and Bill, all the pills, the cocaine, everything has fentanyl in it, right? No one knows what they're taking most of the time.
No, and unfortunately, there are some pills out there that you'll go to the overdose situation. I took a Percocet, and, I got it from a friend, and it turns out it was purchased on the street, and it's not a Percocet. It's a pressed fentanyl cocaine mixture. There's no quality control. You don't know what you're buying. They dye the pills. They have presses, and it's scary. It is scary stuff out there.
Yeah, that's I think that's the biggest thing that people got to you never know where all this stuff's coming from, and it's but it's important. And another thing I kind of think about sometimes, Bill, is when you guys go out there so many times, the same people, how's the mentality? How do you guys get through that part of it? You know, because it's just like these police officers are rushing out to the same house 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. You know,
It's a life.
Yeah.
You're trying to save a life, and you're trying to help somebody get better.
Yeah.
So it's that's what really keeps you going.
Yeah. And Anne Marie, we talked about hope, right? You got to have hope.
Exactly.
All of us, right? The jobs you guys do, the jobs we do. If we don't believe that people can get better, it's a tough way to go out there.
Right. And part of what we do as recovery coaches, when we go out to people's homes, we actually sit down with them and we ask them, what else have you tried? Have you ever been in recovery before? Have you had any length of sobriety? Have you been to inpatient detox? Have you been to outpatient? And, recovery can look like anything. And it's not up to anyone else to define what your recovery looks like. So that's what our job is to find a program, an individualized program that works for that specific person. And if there are things out there that they haven't tried, and you guys were talking earlier about medicated assisted treatment, if you haven't tried it, perhaps we should try it and see if maybe that is your recovery.
Yeah.
The person sets the path.
Yeah.
We maybe can help guide them and
Meet
give them the
where
resources.
Meet them where they're at.
Whether it's
yeah.
detox, inpatient, outpatient, faith-based, medically assisted treatment. It's the person they'll know what's right for them, and we'll help guide them and give them, point them to the resources.
Right, and we have to let them have a voice in their recovery. We can't tell them how it has to be done because it just doesn't work that way. So when people are allowed to make those choices and they're felt that they are, that you're actually working with them and not giving them instructions or bossing them around or however you want to look at it, that they're actually a valuable human being with a brain that can work and have a discussion with somebody that they're appreciated, they have knowledge, and we want to work with them to make something work for them.
Yeah. What's the response to the people that most like you guys come to that? I kind of wonder, some people, are mad, some people, sad, some people happy. You guys must have it all. Right?
We don't run into a lot of that.
Never been told to leave.
No?
No, I mean,
Really?
No, I've had people tell me that they're not interested in services.
Yeah.
But I've never had somebody not let me into their home.
Awesome.
We've never had a problem with it, to my knowledge, and we have a number of recovery coaches that are going out doing this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And people are really thankful that we're there.
Yeah.
Even if they don't take services, even if they don't find recovery, they always say thank you.
Yeah, that's good. What's the rate of the overdose bill? Is it going up, down? How's it been going up there?
It's up and down.
Up and down.
It's
right?
up and down. What we are seeing, though, and I will look at it as a positive,
Yeah.
we go to the overdoses that are reported, but at risk. We have an at-risk category now that we want to be proactive. So if someone knows someone that's in crisis situation or could be in a crisis situation, is having issues with substance use, whether it's pills or injections and alcohol or just having a tough time, reach out to the local police department. Reach out to that recovery officer, and we'll treat that person as an at-risk individual, and we're going to go out with a coach, and we're going to offer the same services.
People are scared, though, right? Sometimes.
When we say we is pretty big. It's not just the 28 police departments. It's the Plymouth County District Attorney. It's the Plymouth County Sheriff, medical facilities, treatment facilities, the local coalitions. You have the EB, Plymouth, East Bridgewater, Plymouth, Wareham drop-in centers, faith-based community, PARI, the Champion Plan in Brockton. There are so many people that care and want to help.
Better than probably any place in the country, probably doing.
The people I know are very good at what they do.
You have naloxone boxes.
This is a pilot program. We partnered up with the East Bridgewater Police Department, partnered up with EB Hope, and we're looking for business partners in East Bridgewater, where it's a box that's mounted to the wall of their business. In it is Narcan, a breathing mask, and instructions. And just as you would open a box up to get an AED or call for help, you have something at your disposal to help somebody that's in a crisis situation, an overdose situation. Again, still, The importance is to call 911. 911, treat them. They have to go together because Anne Marie was saying earlier, we were talking in the hall, that the Narcan works. Okay, we get the person back up. I've seen people that are pretty much not responsive at all, and 15, 20 minutes later after treatment, they're walking on the ambulance or walking to the stretcher or assisting themselves on the stretcher. But that can change awful quick once the Narcan wears off. They need to go to the emergency room.
So with Narcan, and I want to get your take on it too, but with Narcan, it's easy to get now, correct?
It is. Local pharmacies, the Plymouth County Outreach, the drop-in centers. We have, and I have to look at my list because we have the BAMSI COPE Center in Brockton. We're into COPE meetings. And now we're piloting the outreach visits. So when we're doing outreach visits, we will make it available for families, friends that need it, or the person that needs it.
And this is truly confidential stuff with people you're working with.
It absolutely is.
Absolutely.
It's a plainclothes officer and a recovery coach. It's not a criminal investigation. It's truly an outreach program offering help.
Right, and most of our recovery coaches are people that are in recovery themselves.
Okay.
So they know the sensitivity around keeping things, just between you and the other person, and not sharing information with other people. It's people take it very, very seriously, and it's all part of harm reduction, and anything we can do to keep people safe,
Right.
and anything we can do to work with them to make sure that we're not enhancing any further damage that might be done, and people are sensitive about it. They don't want the world to know.
Yeah, I think that's, it's a life and death situation, right? You guys,
Absolutely.
it's very important what you guys are doing because, a lot of these people don't really have anywhere to go. It's kind of like, what's the next step? You overdose, and, where do I go from here? The family, especially, worried about their family and what can we do or what can happen. And for you guys to pop out there in 12 to 72 hours, you can give them some answers. And I think that's the biggest thing is just because a lot of addicts don't want to make that call, right? They don't want to pick the phone up all the time. It's like, it gets heavy sometimes. And if you guys get out there and start the process, it kind of helps a lot.
Right, and part of what we're trying to do is get word out to people that not only is Plymouth County Outreach out there, and there are a number of recovery coaches and facilities that they can reach out to, but also the fact that every single police station in Plymouth County, as well as like Bill was saying, in some of the other counties now it's starting to spread to, that the police departments all have outreach officers within the station, and we want people to know that they can go into the police station. The police are not the enemy; they are there to help you. They have family members, they have children, they have spouses, they have, they don't want to be out there having to put somebody in a body bag. They want people to ask for help. They want to help them. They don't want to put them in jail. So that's a really important component of what Plymouth County Outreach does, is to make sure that people know it's okay to go to the police station and ask for help. That's what they're there for. And they're open 24 hours a day.
And holidays.
Exactly.
And holidays.
Exactly.
We don't close. And we don't like to lose. We don't like to lose. And when we get there too late, or if we don't find out in time, that's a loss. And we don't want that. We want to be there. One other thing to bring up, too, is we have all this great outreach stuff for family and friends and the people that are suffering. But in the cases where as an unfortunate occurrence happens and, say, someone does pass away, we now have some grief counseling and a support person that comes out now and it was sending out a sympathy card and with a follow-up visit after the card is sent to offer services to the family and friends of the person that they
Isn't
lost.
that nice?
That they lost, because it doesn't end there. Oh, okay, well, unfortunately, this one, it's a sad situation, but what about the people that are left behind?
Right. Now, I have a question. Okay, so with this entity being Plymouth County Outreach, the whole umbrella, how are you training people? Is there like, with so many different moving parts, is there like a universal training sessions? How does everybody get onto the same page?
Well, we have quarterly training meetings as far as all the outreach officers go. But to become a recovery coach, I was fortunate to take the training, the 40-hour training. and it's intense, and it's very good. And there were police officer from Rockland, Plymouth. We went into this, and you could tell the people, why are you here? By the time we were finished, we made about 30 friends, the same goal. But I'll let Anne Marie talk about the training, because, yes, we train as police officers. We train every year for the medical aspect and the Narcan and whatnot through our mandatory in-service programs or department training. But we train as a group, and we've had some great speakers come in from our medical partners to other outreach people. It's really good training. But the recovery coach is key. They're the frontline people. So I'm going to let Anne Marie talk about that.
We do have some fantastic training. We do, actually, it's in 2 parts. So we do the initial Recovery Coach Academy in order to be able to do outreach calls. And then, and that basically teaches us how to use our resources. And the biggest thing you take out of there is know your resources. You don't need to know all of the answers, but know where to get them.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We know where to get the answers for people. Then we go on, and there's a second part of that to get our certification. The training programs that are available to us are just too many to list. I am just fascinated by the knowledge that some people have, and there are unlimited classes for us to take to expand our knowledge, and including doing mental health first aid, suicide prevention classes, so that we're really focusing in on behavioral health as a whole, and because behavioral health and mental health issues are all a huge component to this. In a lot of cases, we have these great opportunities, as well as being fortunate enough to be included in the quarterly meetings that the police officers go to, so that we're all getting similar training. And then when we go out on a call, we're all on the same page.
Oh yeah, it's important. That's it's nice to be on the same page, because it's, it's a process, right? And it has, some of the stuff has to the officers out there at the night, it has to happen pretty quick, right? It's I feel for you guys sometimes, because I don't like to see, you guys are a rare breed, because I don't like to see anybody there laying it's for what you guys do, and the whole process together is it's great. It wasn't out there a few years back. I know that.
Every year it grows.
Yeah.
I mean, this started out as a grassroots program years ago, and a lot of different people, little towns, little organizations, and it's grown and grown, and now it's one big partnership. It really is.
Nationally recognized.
Nationally recognized, yep.
And you get Chief Botieri on.
I know you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I did do that
I know
on
you did
purpose.
that on purpose.
I love him.
Chief Botieri is a great guy. Chief Allen with my
Scott,
department.
yep.
Leaders, all the chiefs. I mean, everybody's behind this program, and everybody supports their
DA
officers to get
Cruz.
the training. District Attorney Cruz, Sheriff McDonald. It's a great team with great team leaders. Just can't say enough about the program. Can't say enough about the people that do this. All right, you have 2 people representing or trying to represent dozens.
Right.
Yeah, just in our own county. I don't even know. It's probably 100+ people.
You guys are so
Based in
dedicated.
Plymouth County.
You do such a great job, and it's. I hope other parts of the country, I'm sure they are trying to reach out, trying to adopt your model,
Yes.
and some. So kudos to you. Now, if people want to reach out and learn more, where do they go?
Well, first of all, please call your local police department if you need services. It's important. It's important. We'll direct you. We will direct you. We'll have that outreach officer call you. If not, the organization has a website.
Yep, PlymouthCountyOutreach.org. You can go onto the website, and there is resource information. You can see the list of the partners. You can see the list of the towns. There's all types of inpatient, outpatient resources. There's also a Facebook page. Daily on the Plymouth County Outreach Facebook page, there is an updated bed list first thing in the morning. If a facility has an available bed that morning, it is out on that Facebook page first thing in the morning, as well as all the stats and
school stuff
information
too.
and- yes, and everything else that's going on around the recovery community, including other programs, information on peer recovery centers and what their schedules are. It's just there's so much information
That's awesome.
that
Information on Narcan. One of our medical director, Dr. Muse, a video put together. There's blogs, links to blogs. there's good stuff on there. There's a lot of information.
He's been on the show,
Yeah.
Dr. Muse with Stephen Marciano. He came on. So, well, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for
for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
It's good to see you again.
We'll be right back on Crosscheck.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boston, for Boston, we sing our refrain. For Boston, till wisdom's earth be fled. For here our water hearts are true, and the towers on the heights reach the heavens are blue. For Boston, till the echoes ring again. For Boston, till the echoes ring again.
Welcome back to Crosscheck. My name is Andy Bernstein, here with two-time Stanley Cup champion,
And best looking guy in
And
hockey.
without question.
35 years ago.
Maybe 40.
40.
Now we're up to. That was when he was back in high school, and
High
he was
school.
the big man on campus, right?
yeah,
Like
he was
in
the best looking guy there.
like
too.
in the Brady Bunch,
Pee Wee hockey. the
Pee
whole
Wee
thing.
hockey, walking around signing
Right on.
autographs.
Yeah.
I'm not signing today. I'm walking right by. No, sorry guys, I gotta go.
Did you sign on the way to school?
Signed all right.
And Alex Bezanson from the Abington Substance Awareness,
The best looking guy at Abington Substance Awareness.
and with the
Coalition.
Bruins alumni associate trainer.
There you go.
Is it associate trainer or assistant?
Well, I call it assistant, but I guess it's the same thing.
All right.
I'm not the top dog.
Yeah.
Well, in the hearts and minds of the people, you are.
I know that, but not with the trainers.
Not with the trainers. Anyway, those were great guests. They're doing great
right.
work there in
Good.
Plymouth County, and let's welcome our next guest, who actually was Ted Wayman, an Emmy Award Boston TV news veteran who swung by the show last week. Ted came in and shared a story about his battles with substance abuse and what he's doing now and how he's battled. He's a good friend of Kev's.
Yep. Good guy, Teddy.
Teddy's great. Love to having him on. And we hope you enjoy the interview. Welcome back to Crosscheck. My name is Andy Bernstein, here with two-time Stanley Cup champion.
Hi.
Hi, the great Kevin Stevens. Alex
and
Bezanson.
the great Alex Bezanson.
I throw that word out a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. But we do have greatness here.
We do.
We do. We have
Emmy
Ted-
Award winner.
Emmy Award winner Ted Wayman, who has spent a long time in front of the camera as a Boston TV news reporter, an anchor covering local, national, and international news. He's been in digital media. You're doing a lot of different things now. He's in recovery, and he travels, spends time with family and friends, so he's doing a lot.
Trying to stay busy, but it's nice being with you guys on Powered25.com.
Yeah.
Powered25.com.
So, as a legendary newsman,
I don't know about that.
I'm throwing out superlatives left
Very
and
nice
right,
of you.
right?
Very nice of you guys.
So you have a very interesting story. Can you tell us about life in your previous world and as a newscaster and kind of what you're doing today?
I worked in news in Boston for a long time, which I loved. Kind of jumped to the digital world in 2006 and saw kind of where that world was going. And have been in kind of on the sales marketing side of many different kind of
The
businesses.
dark side.
The dark side. You come from the
Yeah,
sales side.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you know what I'm
exactly.
talking about.
Right.
And continue to do so, work in B2B tech sales. And all the while, I met my pal Kevin Stevens a few years ago in recovery. And that's how I kind of stumbled upon you guys. But I see what you guys are doing at powerforward25.com and in the recovery world. And I think so many worlds mix today. You know, when I got sober back in the day, I did not carry the flag of recovery. That was much more stigmatized. And happy to say that it's not that way today. That people in recovery come from all different kind of worlds, whether it's professional sports, sales, news, lawyers, doctors, people on the street. You know, if we have it, we have it. And the lucky ones are the one we get to get clean and sober and stick around.
So you just said you've been in recovery 21 years?
29 years.
29
9
years.
big ones. Wow.
Coming up in October.
So tell us about that. What made you get help, and how'd all that start?
I was a kind of a young cub reporter coming up in smaller markets in Vermont. I was working in Rhode Island, and I realized that I was drinking and drugging differently than my friends. And I had probably since I was in high school, but I was able to kind of be a functional in my work and job. And I got a job at WBZ in Boston, and I realized I was one drunk driving arrest away from being on the street. And I realized that at 28 years old, I needed to get clean and sober. And I didn't know anybody in recovery. I didn't know anybody in AA. I didn't know anything about AA. And one day I was home. I was living with some pals I had grown up with. They had gone off to school. I think I was working nights. They had gone off to their jobs. And I picked up the phone and I called Alcoholics Anonymous. And a guy was very nice on the other end of the phone. And I'll never know who that was. But he said, hey, why don't you check out a meeting Thursday night in Watertown? And I did. And for the grace of God, that it changed my life that night. I didn't know it at the time, but I realized that I was alcoholic and I was a drug addict and I needed help. And I've stuck around ever since. It gave me a life. It changed my life. I get to meet and be with all different kind of people. I mean, I don't know Kevin that well, but I met Kevin in a meeting through other buddies in the program, but that's the way it kind of works. And I listen to you guys on ATD and powerforward25.com, and you were talking about how meetings really work for you. People can choose other ways of getting clean and sober or stay clean and sober. I need to be in the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous. You talked about the fellowship, but that's really what kind of binds me to recovery. I got to stick around.
Yeah, and I think it's important to tell you what you said. I think, you can do it any other ways, but what keeps you there is the fellowship, right? I go to certain meetings to see people I know. You go to certain meetings, you see people and it makes you feel good. You talk to people, and you're not necessarily know everything about them, but in the meetings and you learn about people, and it makes you accountable, right? And I think that's why I just said meetings, because I heard it so many times. I mean, meetings maker, and I'm kind of like, I didn't know at first, but I go to a lot of meetings and I stopped for a couple of weeks because I was doing other stuff and I didn't feel good. You kind of learn pretty quick that you can feel pretty bad pretty quick for us. We're not these normal two guys sitting over next to us. Our brains.
I'm far from normal.
Yeah, that's the truth.
but
and I think the biggest thing, like you said, is for people out there to make that call. That's the hardest. That phone is heavy sometimes. That's the heavy part of it.
And you never, growing up, I never thought that I was going to be an alcoholic or addict. I mean, I thought I was, grew up on the mean streets of Wayland, with a wonderful family. And the last place I was going to end up was at an AA meeting, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So was it in your family?
Like most alcoholics, addicts, we do have, that genetic disposition that if I look at my family, whether it was grandparents on both sides, that it was there. And I had kind of heard a little bit about it, but when you're a kid and you hear about that people don't talk about grandparents or uncles because of certain things, there's something in the family background.
Yeah.
how did it impact your career of being in sobriety? Because like we were talking about, I mean, this is an industry where, there's a lot, like pro hockey or pro sports industry, lot of parties, lot of, games and all kinds of social activities, being someone in recovery. How did that impact?
When I got sober in 1990, I was not carrying the flag in public of recovery. I had seen early on when I had seen some colleagues go away to treatment centers, and they talked about it. And I know that people used that against them, saying, "Oh, that kid's a drunk or he's a druggie." And I didn't want to have that laid on me. So basically, I kept my recovery very private. I was very involved in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous as I am today. I just feel more comfortable in my skin telling people because it really comes down to our primary purpose is to stay sober and help another alcoholic or addict. If I can do that, that's as good as it gets for me any day. But when I was a young professional trying to get clean and sober, I was just trying to get to work, do my job, and I'd get to a meeting hopefully at the end of that day just so I wasn't going to go back to my old ways, which never served me well, and it wasn't going to help me. And talk about whether it's anybody, whether it's Kevin or somebody else in recovery, if we keep doing the wrong things, it just doesn't end up well. And we all have our own stories how I wasn't going to be able to turn that around.
So, question for you both, being of, I guess, notoriety in some form or,
Much greater as a Stanley Cup champion.
Well, you're a reward winner, too.
Emmy Award winner is pretty good, too.
And you are the champion of the Huggy Bears here, his softball team. But my question to you, both of you, is, so going to AA meetings, and you're obviously dealing with, meeting people from all different worlds. How does it help you as far as, from a humility standpoint, to be able to, like, go and be around people who are not like you, Do you find that helpful?
I think when I go to meetings, I'm just like the person I'm sitting next to. I don't look at me any different than I'm an addict. I'm a drug addict at a meeting trying to get sober. I'm not a hockey player. When I push that hockey player thing out here, and try to it just doesn't work. It's a lot easier for me to go in a meeting as Kevin. And
they see through it.
Yeah,
anyway.
they know who I am. It doesn't make a big difference, but they don't say it. Like, those guys are all in there for the same thing. Till you realize why you're there. A lot of people sometimes, I go on to meetings where people aren't there to get sober. It's a different ball game.
Required to go there.
Yeah, they go there and they're talking and everybody. But the meetings, then you kind of weed out the meetings that you want to go to, right? And you find people that are trying to do the same thing. So everybody, you think people are thinking about you, but they have their own stuff. No one's thinking about me.
Right.
I'm not thinking about him. I'm
Right.
thinking about what we're all thinking together, how we can save each other's lives.
Right.
And that's the most important thing, is one guy trying to help another, right? And it's not about, I'm not any different than anybody else that's sitting in there. I'm a drug addict that struggled with drugs and alcohol for a long time. Trying to get sober.
Period.
Today, one day.
Right, and you feel that.
I had a kind of a former sponsor who passed away. He was a long time sober, and he always used to say, and I use it all the time. He said when he was out there, he was always looking for it, and it comes in many different forms in the ism of alcoholism. But where I find it is in an AA meeting, and Kevin and I have talked about that, where I exhale, I belly laugh, my shoulders drop. It's that feeling that I always wanted, that I chased in many different forms, and people, places, and things, alcohol, drugs, and I could never get that. I get that at a meeting of AA, and Kevin talked about the fellowship of having that, just feeling part of. I always wanted that. And I have a funny story, not a funny story, interesting. I used to live in Los Angeles in sobriety, and once I had gone to a meeting with a buddy of mine, and I'm not going to give up the person who was sitting next to me, but an A-list movie star in Hollywood that you've probably heard about and read about. And I was with a buddy, and he was sharing at the meeting. It was a men's meeting. And this A-list star was sitting next to us. He was not looking in good shape, and he was either with his sober coach or a sponsor. And the A-list Hollywood guy got up to use the bathroom, and his buddy or sponsor turned to us because my friend had shared about his time in recovery, and he was feeling really good and where he was in his recovery. And the friend of the A-list Hollywood star said, "This guy's got $600-700 million in the bank, and he'd give all of it to have what you have."
Right.
And he talked about his recovery and his sobriety, and it's true. And that A-list Hollywood actor is still not sober today.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that just kind of, I was like, wow, money means nothing. If you have that recovery, that sobriety, that's everything.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just amazed that your story, most stories we hear, people been arrested 5 times for drunk drive, and they're forced to go into detox and treatments. You just picked up the phone yourself, and you just wanted to do this. We don't hear that from a lot of our guests that have been on here.
There was almost a reactive
right
mode to this, not a proactive, because you didn't have anything. You just were feeling broken.
I was working freelance, so I'm envious of when I hear guys and gals say, "Yeah, I went away for 30 days or 180 days." Like, God, I would have loved to have gone away for treatment, but I got sober on my buddy's floor. But that was just my story. Not everybody goes down that road, but I had nowhere else to go, and I needed to get clean and sober, and I had to do it with the help of AA. Thank God. And I see it work for other guys, but not everybody has that same story.
Yeah, there's all different kinds of ways to get there, and Teddy, I wish I could have got sober at 28. It's kind of, we all look at it now. Anybody can think when you're 50, I wish I could, when you get sober and you finally get there, wow, it's pretty good. And you look back and say, I wish I could have done it, earlier. But then, that's just the nature of the beast. We only have what we have, right?
I've heard you say on a previous show is that it only works when you want it. It doesn't matter whether you're 15 or 75. If you don't want it, it ain't happening. You guys interview people where you see it all the time, then it doesn't come together.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing we do in our lives is to get sober, and it's the most gratifying thing too. But I became a professional hockey player. I did a lot of things. I worked hard, whatever. But for me to stay sober was the hardest thing I did. I had to do. It wasn't, it wasn't just coming that easy. We get doing this stuff, and it's kind of like our life. That's what we do, right? And I was doing it for a long time, and now I had to change, and I had beaten myself up so much. There's so much that we do to affect our brains and how we feel about ourselves. We have to kind of get back into that form again of feeling like you're a good person again. And sometimes, it took me a long time to do that. And but if you can do it, and you're out there struggling or whatever it is, you got to get, you got to get connected with people that can help you. You know, that's the biggest thing. Is put your hand. It's so hard to put your hand out. It's so hard to hold that phone, but it'll be the best thing you'll ever do in your life, right?
Absolutely. And
Go ahead.
There was a saying that, you know, and it was just my story. Since I could recollect those first shows, I just wanted to be comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And I found other ways to do it through drugs and alcohol. And to this day in sobriety, I just want to be comfortable in my own skin. And sobriety is the only thing that works.
Yeah, I know.
You know, that's the only thing that works.
Yeah, and being humble and knowing, like, you know, that was like Bill Russell once said, I play basketball. I'm a basketball player, but it's not who I am.
Right.
You know, understanding, like, that's my profession, but I'm not going to embrace that lifestyle, because I think if you embrace that lifestyle, you could be in trouble, right? That buying your own program.
Absolutely. And we see it all the time.
Right. Now, do you miss being in TV? Do you?
I don't. I mean, news has changed. You know, we said everybody in the studios, you know, either getting their news on their phone or some digital on your iPad. But I loved it. I'm always be a news junkie, but you know, chasing fires when you're my age isn't as fun as when you're a cub reporter. But I'll always be a newsie. But it's changed. I think local news has been affected. Network news has been affected. News is so fast. You can get it on this computer on your phone that it's changed the way people digest news, I think.
How do you feel? You know, we talked about credit before, and we talked about, you know, with financial literacy, you know, in a previous show. I guess my question to you is, how do you see media? Does media have a part to play in any of this, as far as, you know, addiction and in the sense that, you know, beer advertising and all kinds of different, you know, things that you know, a life that you should strive for on TV that, you know, is unattainable?
Well, in one of your previous guests talked about FOMO, fear of missing out. I think young people, and maybe all ages, can have fear of missing out, that you're seeing a picture, a photograph, or experience that you're not part of. I think that you realize that that's not reality.
Right.
It's easy to kind of fantasize about that. But on the flip side, as far as media, I think, and what you guys should be credited for this, taking the stigmatization out of alcohol and drug abuse, is that it affects every demographic. Every family. I mean, just how we used to say, we would know every family that's been affected by cancer. Every family that I know has been affected by drug abuse and alcoholism and addiction, without fail. And you guys continue to knock down the stigmatization. It's really helpful, I think.
Well, we're working on that. We had a guest that we're still working with, Beth, and she was an alcoholic.
From Needham.
And
there's alcoholics in need.
I think
I know, right?
I think her best line was, "If I had cancer, people would be bringing me casseroles at night, but because I'm an alcoholic, nobody wants to be near me."
Oh, and 70,000 people will die this year from overdoses. If obviously 9/11 was a huge historical impact for the country, where 3,000 people died. 70,000 people will die from drug overdoses, and we're not stopping in our tracks and saying,
Right.
what's going on here?
Right.
It's
Yeah,
actually
it's crazy.
77,000.
Yeah, 77,000, and you know how many can save with the Narcan now? So you know, if this Narcan wasn't around,
It'd be
forget about
hundreds
it.
of thousands.
It'd be an
hundreds of
epidemic
thousands.
that it'd be destroying a country, you know. And it's
Like the plague.
yeah.
More than Vietnam.
Yeah, more than in Vietnam.
So kudos to you guys to keep talking about it, because if we stop talking about it and the message doesn't get out there,
Yeah.
younger people and people that are afraid to come forward won't.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's the most important thing, is that even with Teddy, wherever we can talk about it, even the people don't want to listen to it. Like, you know, if I'm in front of groups of people people make them come there, you know, you say something that's maybe with a person that has no idea that this, you know, it's going to affect him now, but it puts something in his brain, you know, it could help his family. Anybody, you know, because the family, it affects so many people that are around it, you know, and it just grabs everybody. You know, the addict, once the addict's an addict, grabs the whole family, you know.
You guys are planting the seeds.
We did a show in South Boston before some youth hockey players, and we're watching the kids while Kevin's speaking, and most of the kids were really paying attention. You'll never know if Kevin saved those kids or not.
Could
you know?
be years down the road, but planting that seed.
Hopefully planting the seed does some good.
Yeah, it helps.
And you always say, if you can reach.
Yeah, one person. I can't, you know, I mean, we're not going to save, you know, if I fly to Pittsburgh and I talked to a group of kids, and the one person that helps, it's worth me jumping on that plane, right?
I'm taking Kevin on the road this fall or winter to a group of hockey players, and I know he'll have full attention. But to your point, Alex, that if one kid, down the road either saves a parent or himself or a neighbor,
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you for
Thanks,
coming,
guys, for having me.
for
Thank you.
coming
Good stuff,
on.
Teddy.
I appreciate and really appreciate the openness. It's really good to have that because we need people like you and you to really be out there letting people know.
So people know that it does affect all walks of life.
Everybody. Well,
and there's help out there.
Yeah,
Because
in
people think
29 years, he's good. A day at a time. He still goes to meetings. He still does what he did the first
How
day.
many meetings do you try to go to a week?
I probably go 5 or 6 meetings. a
Do
week.
you really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's just it's where I find my balance, and just seeing Kevin. I met Kevin early on, and I'll say you look. First of all, you just look so much more comfortable in your skin,
Yeah.
and I can tell you like being at meetings, and that's a secret. I mean, hey, listen, we've talked about the guys that can go weeks without meeting. I don't know how they do it. I'd be in handcuffs, and my wife would probably be the first one to call the police.
right.
But I'm just better off with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, even since
Oh,
we.
you're all right. Andy, I'm going to give you a big hug.
I
after
know,
this.
right? All right. On that note,
Thank you for having
thank
me.
you
Andy,
for.
good to see you.
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
Kev, always good to see you, brother.
We'll be right back on Crosscheck.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boston, for Boston, we sing our refrain. For Boston, till wisdom's earth be fair. For here our water hearts are true, and the towers on the heights reach the heavens of blue. For Boston, till the echoes ring again. For Boston, till the echoes ring again.
Welcome back to Crosscheck. My name is Andy Bernstein here with two-time Stanley Cup champion, best-looking man in hockey.
We have to say that every
I
time.
know.
That's his disclaimer. That's it. What else could we come up with for you?
You don't have to say that.
All
I
right.
can say a lot of things about you. if you
50
want.
goal scorer.
50 goal
you know,
scorer.
a million times. And,
700 million times, yeah.
I know. I'll come up with something new next show.
All right.
All right. Alex Bazanson. All right, so let's wrap this thing up with a bow.
What a great show today.
I know,
Great
right?
show.
Plymouth County Outreach continues to astound me in the way that all they do. And I hope other people in the country will also start to recognize
Well,
that,
like you said in the earlier segment, Plymouth County is leading the country
yeah,
in these programs, and they're being copied all around the country, which is great.
yeah,
We've got a lot of great people in Plymouth County, from the DA to the sheriffs to all the police departments, doing great work.
yeah. More people should know about what they're doing so they
Right.
can reach out and ask them for their own communities.
Exactly.
And it's important because I think, anything that works with this opiate and this addiction thing and the overdose, it's all teamwork, right? There's so much out there, and there's so much to this thing that not one person can handle, not one company, not anybody. We need everybody on board, and everybody's got to be pulling that rope the same way, because it doesn't happen if they're tugging it the other way, and they got people going in the right direction, which is important.
Great leadership, training. I mean, they really do it all. So I applaud them, and we continue to talk about them on our show because they deserve
will.
it, and they deserve it. We got some housekeeping.
We do. Once again, we want to remind you about September 10th, the U.S. premiere of Kevin's movie Shattered.
Shout out. Wow.
Shit.
It's coming up. It's coming up. Tickets are still available at powerforward25.com. We can get VIP tickets, and we have a whole list of celebrities that are going to be there. Former NHL players, Joey Mullen, former line
Up
mate.
and Joe, yep.
Yeah, he's excited. He
Yeah, we
called
get
the
to
other
see
day.
him, yeah.
He's excited to be
That's
there.
cool.
Donnie Sweeney from the Bruins. We have Lenny Clark.
Lenny Clark.
Lots of celebrities are going to be there. It's going to be
You?
a great time. Me. I'll bring my Sharpie.
Bring in show. No signing today. I'm pitching today. I'm sorry. I can't sign. Kevin, take us out with some hope, please.
Yeah, it's, just day at a time, right? Pick up that phone, give us a call, like, on the website, powerforward25.com, and let us know. Let us help. You know, the only way we can do anything if people reach out. You know, there's nothing we can do if you don't say anything, if you don't talk about it.
And if you have a family member, you can
Yeah.
reach out and we can help you.
Yeah, it's anybody that's struggling with addiction or family, anything. Hopefully we can answer the questions. We can steer you in the right direction.
For sure. And we're also on Facebook now.
We are.
And the great Kevin Bly is doing great work for us.
He is.
I throw great out a lot.
Yeah, everything's great.
Everything's great. Anyway, that's our show for the week. And thank you to Plymouth County Outreach folks, Sargent Patterson and Anne Marie Winchester. Thank you to Ted Wayman for stopping by. Wayman. For stopping by and spending some time with us. And we'll see you next week on Crosscheck. Have a great week, everybody.